Hello, these are some of the crochet basics. To begin, grab your hooks. I've got quite a few hooks, but I tend to use a hook size 4, but they're all very useful. I also often use a 5 and a 3.5, but it just depends on the kind of wool you want to use. So for thinner wool like this, you're more likely to use a 3.5, but for thicker wool like this, I would probably use a 4 or a 5. It just depends on how tight you want your project to be. As you can see, for something like this, I used a 3.5 hook size. But for something like this, I used a 2mm hook size, which is significantly smaller. But when it comes to more unusual types of wool such as this, which is very thin but very difficult to see when you're crocheting, I would probably use a bigger hook size, such as a 3.5, just to make it a bit easier to see. So for this video, I'll be using a hook size 4, so that you'll be able to see everything very clearly. I'll be using this thick green wool. And firstly, I'll be showing you how to do a slip knot. So first you need to find the end of your wool, which may take a while. And then you need to wrap your wool around your finger in a loop. Now push the free wool through the loop and pull through to form a slip knot. Insert your hook into the slip knot and pull. Once you've got your wool on the hook, you need to know how to hold your wool in your other hand. I like to wrap the wool around my little finger and then loop it around my index finger, like that. Now hold the bottom of the slip knot and loop your hook around your wool and pull through to chain 1. Loop again to chain again. Do this 11 times until you have a chain of 11. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then one more. Now you have a chain of 11. Skip the first stitch and put your hook through the second stitch, like that. Loop the wool around the hook and pull through again. That's a single crochet in American terms, but a double crochet in British terms. Now keep doing the same. Push through, loop, pull through, and pull through again. Now continue this all the way down to the end. Push through, loop around, pull through, and pull through again. Now that you've reached the end of the chain, chain 1, turn your work around and continue to practice along the second row. Now complete the final one by pushing your hook through the stitch, looping the wool around, pulling through and pulling through again. Now to finish off, loop the wool around your hook, pull through, cut the wool off, and pull that tail right through and knot it firmly like that. Now you're finished. Now we're going to learn a half double crochet, which is a half treble crochet in the British terms. So make a slip stitch and chain 11 as you did previously. Loop your wool over your hook, push through the second stitch, pull through. Now pull through all 3 loops on the hook. Now continue along the chain, loop the wool over the hook, push through all 3 loops on the hook. Now that you're at the end, chain 1, turn your work around, and continue practicing. Loop your wool over the hook, push through, pull through, and pull through all 3. Now tie off your wool just like you did before. Pull through, cut off, pull through again, and tighten. Now you can see the difference. The next stitch we're learning is double crochet, also known as treble crochet in British terms. You'll need to chain 12 this time. First, loop the wool over the hook, skip the first 2 stitches, and push your hook through the 3rd stitch, pull through. Now pull the wool through the first 2 loops on the hook, and pull through 2 again. So to repeat that, loop the wool over your hook, insert your hook through the stitch, pull through 2, and pull through 2 again. Now that you've reached the end, chain 2, like that, turn your work around, and continue doing your double crochets / treble crochets until you finish. Okay, I think I've reached the end, but sometimes it can be difficult to tell. So if you can't tell if you've reached the end, I just like to count the number of stitches that you've done. And if you've got 10, as you should, you've finished. So now all you need to do is tie off. The next one we're going to learn is triple crochet in American terms, or double treble crochet in British terms. I often use the American terms just because it makes it a little bit easier to say, and I learned them from American videos, so just use whatever's easier for you. Start by chaining 13. Okay, to begin the stitch, skip the first 3 stitches, loop the wool around your hook twice, push through the 4th stitch. Now pull through the first 2 loops on your hook, pull through the next 2 loops, and pull through the next 2. Loop the wool around your hook twice, push through the stitch, pull through the first 2, pull through the second 2, and pull through the third 2. Now repeat until you have 10 triple crochets in total. Once you reach the end, you can count to check if you've got the total number of stitches that you need. And then you'll chain 3. Turn your work around and continue doing triple crochets. Complete your final stitch. Pull through, and pull through again. Now tie off. The final thing we're going to do is a magic ring. It's not as complicated as people seem to think it is. and it's super useful in almost any project that you can do. So what you're going to do first is grab your wool like this, and then wrap it around 2 fingers in a cross, and hold it with your finger there. Put your hook under the first part of the cross, and then drag the second part of the cross through like that. Loop, pull through, and you've made your magic ring. Now you can do 6 single crochets into it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now you take the loose bit of wool at the end and pull it tight. And you finish your magic ring. You can close it off by hooking your hook under the first stitch, pulling through, and just pulling through again. Now to recap, you've got your single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, triple crochet, and magic ring. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you have a lovely day.